Hi there, Lindsay here, the Frugal Crafter. Please excuse my messy desk for this Frugal Friday tip. And what we're going to do today, and I've shown this in different ways before, where I have restuck a non-sticky die cutting mat, and basically what I would do is I would just tape off the borders and spray it with quilter's basting spray. But I couldn't find my basting spray. I think I used it up. So what we're going to do is we are going to tack it over and over. But before we do that, we're actually going to completely remove everything that's on this mat. So I went to clean this mat the other day after using it because it wasn't very sticky, and I always have to tape stuff down to this scan and cut mat. This is the original mat that I got with my machine like back in 2016, and I don't use it every day, but I have used it a lot, and I'm surprised at how well it's held up. I don't know how long it will hold up. I mean, I noticed there's all these little cuts up here, which I think are almost like, I don't know if the registration marks are telling the scan and cut, like how many times it's been used into, like, I don't know, planned obsolescence or something. But as long as it keeps working, I'm going to keep using it. So what I had done was I went to clean it, and I'm like, I'm going to try some alcohol, and it completely took the adhesive off. And I thought, you know what? I would love to just start from scratch and put a fresh thing of adhesive on there. So the alcohol doesn't seem to affect the printing on there. So again, do this at your own risk. This mat has definitely, it doesn't owe me anything. I've been using it for a long time. And I'm just going to saturate this with the alcohol. It was funny because when I was spraying it with the alcohol, I'm like, for some, I had this feeling like I don't think I'm supposed to use alcohol on this, and I don't know where that thought came from. But I'm like, oh, what the heck, I'm gonna give it a try. And then one thing that's really good is to get all of the debris off of the outside of the mat. You know, the rollers can pick up gunk, and that's not good to get into the machine and on the rollers. So really cleaning off the borders is really nice. And sometimes, like, I'd get lazy when I'd go to restick the mat, like spray it with my stuff, and I would, you know, overspray a bit because I was too lazy to mask it. I'm just trying to, like, hit it in the middle because I'm in a rush. I'm trying to do a project. But this time I'm like, no, I am going to clean this up. So once you've sprayed it with alcohol, you can use a scrapey tool. Like the one that came with the scan and cut works really well. I've got this Bondo scraper, so I'm hoping I can work a little bit quicker. And I'm going to remove everything from this mat. All of the adhesive, all of the debris, because we were getting to the point where the mat was picking up little like basically grime on the mat and not my stamped images. So let's try to start fresh here a bit. And also, when you get all this adhesive built up, if you're a DIY queen like me and you want to, like, you know, keep resticking your mat, when you get that adhesive built up, then, like, the blades could catch on it and not give you a really great result. So I'm just actually working that same alcohol around, scraping up any of the high points here. Now you can just scrub your mat with dish soap and a rag and let it air dry, and you'll bring the stickiness back because you'll get all that embossing powder and glitter and dust and everything that's paper fibers that's accumulated over the years off the mat. You can kind of see the debris that I'm getting on there. And that works really well too. It'll work well to a point, till there'll be a point where it's like, yeah, it's just not sticky enough anymore. We're still scraping stuff off of here. So I'm going to continue with this until I have finished it up. I'm just using regular household alcohol in a spray bottle here. Now I find the little scraper that came with the Brother does a much better job at, like, completely getting it right down to the mat, but trying to get, like, the majority off with a bigger scraper. But this takes a little time. I'm going to keep at it, and we will see you when this adhesive is all removed. I just did about 2 more goes of scraping, and now I'm going over, I've resprayed it with alcohol, I'm going over with a rag, and you can see, like, the bits of adhesive just kind of, like, balling up. And that's adhesive, it's grime, paper fibers, all sorts of stuff there, and you just want to get that off the mat so we can start fresh. Now, the one thing that really benefited me and has been helped me able to keep this mat going for so long is the fact that I was always mindful of blade depth. If you don't cut through your mat, if you just cut as much as you need to. A lot of people think more is better, but not with your blade depth. You want your blade depth to just cut your material and then just barely kind of kiss the mat, and then your mat will last really long. If you do cut through your mat, you can put some tape on the back side of it to, you know, get a little bit more use out of it. Look at all those crumbs. I'm gonna brush that off into the trash. You can do that to get more life out of it. Yeah, I'm just gonna smear it back in if I do that. So, you know, just mind your blade depth when you get a mat and make sure you're not over cutting. I generally have it, I think around 4 for cardstock, 4 to 4, anywhere between 4 and 6, depending on how thick the cardstock is. Yeah, these little boogers want to stick to the mat. So I'm going to keep on wiping this off until I've got everything off of the mat. And it's okay if it sticks to this this rag, because this rag is on the way out. So, and I've only done this once. This is the only time I've done this since I've got the mat like 7 years ago. Brush all these off and see you in a minute. All right, look at this. It is not sticky anymore. It's so nice and clean. I mean, anything that's left on this mat is just very, very small, and I mean, it feels pretty smooth to the touch except for the cuts on the mat. And yeah, we're all good. Actually, before we do that, I think I'm gonna clean off the backside, because see those marks? Those marks are where the rollers go. And they probably picked up adhesive along the way, and that's why they're there. So I'm just using a paper towel here. I'll just wipe off any excess grime that's on there. Look at that. Oh, so satisfying. Do you ever watch those videos where people clean rugs? Man, that's good stuff. I'm actually going to paint, I'm just going to spray the whole, let's clean the whole thing off, because keeping your scanner clean is really important for good scans. Every once in a while I clean the scanner glass. Julie Faith-Balzer has a really good tutorial on how to clean the scanner glass. It's very easy. It's a little trap door on the bottom. You pull it out. You use a microfiber cloth, like a lens cleaner, like what you clean your glasses with. And you clean that scanner glass. I found like a piece of tape stuck on that before. Speaking of, we have a little tape right there. And yeah, it's amazing. If your scanning cut's not working, 9 times out of 10 you just need to clean that scanner glass, and you're going to get much better results. Looks like I had a little cut all the way through on that there at one point. It looks like it's one of the registration marks, or whatever those little cuts are that the machine makes. I don't know. I don't know that. I know enough about them to be dangerous, right? Okay, so I'm going to put some adhesive on here. I'm going to begin by just masking off my edges. Like I said, this is not a often thing. This is like a once in 7-year thing for me. This might be a, you know, I could just go buy a new mat, but I figured, you know, why not? Let's see what we can do to this one so that it will do the trick for us. So I'm just using masking tape to mask off the edges so I don't get any adhesive where the rollers are going to go, because that's not a good scene. Just doing a little maintenance. Sometimes it's nice just to like do a little studio maintenance, you know? It's like just put some music on, put on a podcast, just, I don't know, put one of my videos in the background, one of my swatching videos. Oh, good grief. Where's the end of this tape? There we go. And just chill. I like to do little puttery things like this sometimes, especially if I've had a really busy week, or I know I've got a big upcoming project that I'm not quite ready to start yet. Like maybe I don't have all the materials for, or I don't know, it's just a great way to decompress. I find like stuff like this to be very relaxing, or at least mind clearing. Okay, if you're going to use a spray, like a quilter's basting spray, then I would take some paper, and I would tape the paper down so you don't get any overspray, because it's really hard to control a spray. And I've had some people, like, if it's just kind of like, oh, I need to add some adhesive right now, tape isn't going to cut it. I've seen people use like a Zig 2-way pen for that, but I want to make this, I don't have to use this cutter for a while, so I want to make it so it's going to be good to go. And I'm just going to clean off that little booger on my glue. This glue is called Aleenes Tack It Over and Over. I use this for my rubber stamps. I paint it on the back of my rubber stamps so that I can stick it to clear blocks, so I don't have to use foam. So it saves a lot of money. Once you brush it off, it's going to be like a sticker. It's always going to be sticky. But this is really strong, so you want to dilute it. I even dilute it when I'm doing rubber stamps, because even those heavy rubber stamps, if I use this straight on, it's just so sticky at first. And I want this to be nice and medium tack. The first time you use it, it may be a little bit too sticky. Okay, so I'm going for like the kind of like whole milk or half and half type viscosity. And you'll want to wash your brush really well after you do this, or use a sponge brush. I'm going to start in the middle. I'm just going to paint on a thin coat. Hopefully some of this adhesive will fill in some of the little cuts as well, making my mat even smoother. That's what I'm hoping. And a bottle of this lasts a long time. I just make sure that I don't let it, you know, freeze on me. And it's brushing out nice and smooth, probably because of all those little cuts in the mat. Sometimes when I do this on rubber stamps, it'll want to bead up a little bit. But you don't want to put this on full strength, or you will never get that paper back off the mat. You'll have to like soak the mat to get the paper off. You don't want that. That's just a waste, and it's a pain in the butt. You can hold it to the light and see where it's glossy is where you've got the Aleenes glue on there. You want to make sure you've got that even gloss everywhere, because you don't want to have some unsticky spots. It'll be great if, I mean, I'm hoping this will make it the perfect tack and I won't have to use tape on the corners of my paper, because it seems like I've ever since this was new, I've had to use tape on the corners of my paper. I think they might have started going with a stickier mat after I got mine. I bought mine, it was like Black Friday weekend 2016 or 2015 at Joann's, and this is Scan and Cut 2, so it's a second iteration of the machine, and it is the it's not the pro version, like it's not the version you get at a dealership, it's a version you get at a craft store, which I've been perfectly happy with. I mean, I'm not cutting fabric with it. I'm literally just using it to scan and cut. Okay, so it looks like, oh, maybe I haven't got it all. I just want to make sure I've got everything coated. And making sure I don't have any big gobs. So what you can do, because you've got these lovely little marks on there, you can just go back and forth, making sure you absolutely cover the entire thing. And if you feel any drag, then you'll know that you haven't covered that spot. And I mean, even if it's not absolutely perfect and there's like a little speck that doesn't get covered, I really don't think that it's going to be that much of a problem, as long as the majority of it does. Do the same thing this way, just to be... I'm not really adding more, I'm just making sure everything is spread out. And it feels really smooth, actually, as I'm painting this on. The tape helps you to not have to be super careful as you're painting. And like I said, you're not doing this every day, so take that extra time. Okay, and I'm just basically using what I have up here. All right, I think we've got this very well coated. And I also wanted to say, part of the reason that my blades and my mats last so long in the Scan and Cut is because it's not my only die cutter. I have an electronic die cutter hooked to my computer upstairs, so I use that for whenever I need to cut a font or an SVG file, or I'm designing something. This is only used for scanning and cutting. I don't hook it to my computer. I don't use it with software. It's just for that. All right, so now I am going to go, I'm removing the tape, and the reason I'm doing this is to see if anything accidentally seeped underneath, and I do see a little bit of seepage, so I'm going to want to wipe that off so it doesn't get on my rollers. Well, geez, the tape didn't work so well that way, because I could have just painted I could have just painted a little bit more accurately. You could take actually while it's still wet, you can just take a paper towel and wipe the edges. If it dries, you can use some alcohol and a Q-tip or something, but try to get it off while it's still wet if you had that seepage. Because you don't want gummy rollers. Nobody wants gummy rollers. Actually, I still think that would be in the scanning area and not the roller area, but hey, let's try to be neat. Let's try to do it right. Let's not half butt it this time. All right, I think that looks good. All right, so now what we got to do is let it dry. Try to set it somewhere where it's not going to get a bunch of dust on it. This will take maybe an hour or so to dry. It's not going to take that long, and then we'll check back in once it's dry and we'll test her out. Well, this is dried. It took, I don't know, I went upstairs and had lunch. It's been probably about an hour since we did this, and it has a nice low tack. I might still need to use tape with it, I'm not sure, but let's see. I went and stamped some tags because I figured, well, I don't like to just waste paper. If I'm going to do something, I like to have it like a practical use for it. So let's put that tag down. I am going to use some paper just to press it down because I'm not so sure that my ink is completely dry. It should be. It's a VersaFine Clair that I stamped with. And I made sure all of the tags that I stamped had nice borders on them. So they should cut out just fine. I think I want to try cutting it without taping the corners just to see if there's a good amount of stick to it. What do you think? Is it going to do it? Is it going to be fine? We'll give it a try. Do you guys want to see it? I could bring the camera over and show you the die cutter. I mean, it's probably pretty boring, but you can see that I'm not, like, fudging, I guess. All right, I'm making sure I'm going to press this down really well. I'm pretty sure I'm going to need to tape corners still because it's still, like, a low tack. I didn't want it to, like, be really sticky. So let's go over a die cutter and cut these out. All right, there's my machine. Hopefully you can see that all right. It's kind of, I'm in this kind of desk unit, and the reason I have it in here is because if you can keep as much extra light out when you're scanning, it works a lot better. Of course, I have this bright light shining here so you can see, but load my paper in. But I might actually turn this light away when I set it to scan. So I'm gonna do scan and direct cut, and I'm going to turn my light away while I hit start there because I don't want to add more light into the scanner. All right, I'll put my light back over here. Now the scanning is done, and hopefully we will have a good, I think you can see, oh yeah, it looks like it scanned good. Oh, I have my little pointy tool here. There it is. Oh, wow, it did everything except for one tag, it looks like. There's one of these that it didn't do very well. And I don't think I want to cut that one out because it looks like they put a bunch of different shapes on there. So what I'm going to do is just crop it around this group here because I know that's all good. And I want to put a little border on there, so I'm just going to do a little border so there's a white edge. I think that looks nice on tags, and we're going to have it cut. They ask you OK a lot, I guess, to make sure you know what you're doing, so you hit cut, and then you got to hit start. And then we're going to let it do its thing. Okay, it has cut out all of these tags. I'm going to say okay. And now what I want to do is I'm going to see if I can just select this section of red tags. Now it did 3 just fine. 1 was showing really rough. I'm going to see if I can get it to cut all of these. If not, I'll just do these 2 and that one and cut the other one by hand. But let's try that. I think that's a pretty good ratio to have all but one item on a fully stamped sheet recognized. It's not perfect, you know. Some things it really struggles with, and other things it does really well. So, you know, it's a bit quirky. All right, now one thing I'll do, and hopefully, I hope my screen is fully visible. There is this portion. Maybe I just want to make sure you can see it. There's a little symbol on here that it shows like a grayscale, and you can adjust the sensitivity of the line or the color that it's scanning, and that will make it so that sometimes it catches and picks up on things that it didn't before. Now this time it picked up on that third one, but it messed up that first one, so I'm gonna go another triangle over. I don't know why that does that, but that's kind of handy. If you cut everything that's recognizing well, then you can go back and you can mess around. Now all the way over to dark, it's not catching any of those designs, so I'm gonna go a little bit, oops, that just went back to the original thing. It can be a little bit friggy, I'm not gonna lie, but overall I'm happy with this machine. Okay, so that's where we were originally. I'm gonna go down a bit, and I really don't know what that's telling it, either to be more sensitive or less sensitive. I'm not exactly sure, but I just kind of try the different features or the different settings and see if one works. I think I'm gonna have to cut these in just 2 different cuts, so not a big deal, or 3 different cuts, but kind of a pain. You kind of wish it would just recognize everything all at once. But I think the good thing about you seeing this is you can decide whether if it's something you would want, or if like, no, that's too much work, I don't want to deal with that. All right, so we're gonna go back to the original, and we're gonna cut them out in 2 parts. Oh, actually, we should go back to the one that had 3. Oh yeah, hold on, I'm gonna change my mind. I'm gonna go back to that one. Because then I can do 3 together and then just do that last one on the original setting, so I know that's gonna cut. Hopefully it recognizes it the way it did before. Okay, so I don't want to cut that one half out, you know, so I'm just gonna slide up my little box so it's just going around those parts that are gonna cut well. And I'll look at my preview. Oops, I need to drag that in a little closer. All right, okay, and it's going to show me the preview. That looks right, and I'm going to cut it. Look at that, it's starting to come unstuck. I guess I needed a little bit more adhesive. Oh, or I should have taped it. Ah! Okay, we're just gonna unload that. Alright, so I still do need to put tape on the corners. If I put tape on the corners, then that would have been fine. But let's just pull off the waist and see what we have. All of those tags cut out. Oh gosh, let's see, can I tip you down a little bit? All of those tags cut up really well. I took the waste paper off, and these are all nice clean cuts. So I could either add a little bit more adhesive to this, which honestly, I mean I could, but I kind of prefer the lower tack so it doesn't rip my paper, and I think I'll just go back to taping the corners, but I'm really thrilled with how I was able to make this mat act like new again. Epilogue. We're going to do this again. We are going to scan. I put another light coating of the Aleenes Tack It Over and Over. I brushed it on the mat and let it dry. So we are going to give it another try. I have not taped it down. And we are just going to scan it. Hopefully. Let's tip it up a little bit so you can see what's going on there. Oh shoot, I didn't move the light. I didn't move the light. Hopefully it scans alright. The moment of truth. Is it going to scan all right? It looks like it did. Perfect! Do you see that? Can you see that? It's perfect. Every single one. All right, I do want to add a little border. So it's 0.04. It's just the first border you get, the first option. If you just hit the plus sign, and we're going to cut it out. Here we go. Oh, that's, uh-oh, we're already starting to lift though, so, I probably still should have taped it. I'm worried about that. Maybe I should stop it. Well, if anything, it's like just like a regular scan and cut mat. Very, very low tack. I mean, I know they have different ones, but hopefully. I'm not going to put any more adhesive on it though. I'll tape the corners anyway, because that's what I do. I was just seeing if I could find that sweet spot of how much of the stuff to put on there. I will say that it dries really quickly when you thin it down like this, so I didn't have to wait very long before doing this, maybe half an hour, if that. Oh, it found some areas some marks on the mat, because I didn't drag the box around it, so it came up and cut a couple marks some scratches on the mat. That's interesting. All right, let's unload that. Let's pull off. Oh, perfect. So that's the perfect amount of tack, I would say. Look at that. Let's see. I'm sorry, I have this tightened down. But anyway, look at that. Everything cut perfectly. That's the right amount of tack. So it took a little trial and error, but overall, it worked good. Look, I already have one piece of glitter stuck to it. My goodness. It's a never-ending battle, friends. But there you have it. Yeah, experiment until you get it just the way you want it. But man, a little bottle of Aleenes, tack it over. I'll show you that bottle again. Maybe they may have changed it. This is an older bottle, but it lasts you so long. I use it on the back of rubber stamps. Maybe if I not lighten it, be too strong. I use it on the back of rubber stamps so that I can put them on acrylic blocks without, because it makes it like sticky, permanently sticky, and it's great. It's great stuff. Okay, that's all for real. Thanks for watching. Happy crafting.